I turned down my childhood crush, now a single dad, because he rejected me when I was unattractive. Now his friends are blowing up my phone, insisting I give him a chance. I, female, mid-20s, spent most of my childhood and early adulthood focused on education. I'm not naturally gifted, so I had to focus and work hard as my parents encouraged me to. Things finally slowed down later during college and I found myself being more social. There was a guy, Nate, in my social circle whom I liked, so I asked him out. He laughed when I did, but he said it was just so unexpected and that's why he laughed. Still, it kinda stung. He declined and said he wasn't dating at the moment. Spoiler alert, he was definitely dating, just not me. But whatever, he said no, I moved on. I got a good job out of my hometown partly based on my good school performance and connections through an internship. Two of the guys from work, let's call them Tammy and Sarah, mid to late 30s, hung out with me a lot and got me to come out of my shell more. They told me to start coming to the gym with them because they were tired of looking at my beanpole ass. I had a lot of fun and improved my body physically. Now, Tammy and Sarah were a couple, so whenever we would go out, they'd be really good wingwomen and really got me out of my shell. I'm still a bit awkward, but much more comfortable in social situations now that I've got some experience. This happened over the course of like 2 years. I wound up asking my job to work remotely to be closer to my family, health issues, money issues back home. Not going to get into it and got approved as long as I traveled back to the office quarterly for important meetings and stuff. So now I'm back home again. I ran into Nate at the grocery store a few weeks ago. Turns out he's raising a kid on his own now and generally doing well for himself. We ran into each other again at a mutual friend's party. This is when he asked when I was going to ask him out again. I said the thought hadn't really crossed my mind and he seemed offended like, why not? I said I'm not interested and thought that was that. I did kind of remove myself from the conversation quickly after that. Well, apparently, that wasn't okay to do. Nate came and found me again and demanded to know why I'm not interested because you were interested 2 years ago. I told him that was 2 whole years ago, and he lied when he rejected me. So I haven't thought of him in that way ever since. He said a normal person would be over that and then said, it's because I'm a single parent, isn't it? I mean, honestly, I have no interest in dating single parents because I'm literally just now dating around. I don't want to have to deal with all the stuff that comes with a situation like that, but more to the point, I'm not attracted to Nate anymore. I just simply don't see him that way. Am I crazy here? Like, why are his friends blowing me up because I don't want to date him? Tammy and Sarah are telling me that I don't owe him anything, but some of my friends at home are telling me to at least give him a shot. I haven't really talked to my parents about it, but my younger sister is saying I should try. And my older brother is telling me to trust my gut. I just don't understand why or how this got to be such a big deal. Update 1. After reading and replying to some of the overwhelming amount of comments here, I spoke with my brother last night about what to do. I don't like the chaos of this situation. It's a lot of anxiety and I feel the need to resolve it. To that end, after much consideration and my brother's agreement, I reached out to Nate this morning and asked him if he would meet me for coffee tonight. I made it clear that this is not a date. It's just 2 friends trying to come to terms with each other because I don't like all the messages and comments from his friends. Nate accepted pretty quickly and said he'd like to clear the air about some things. The fact that he apologized for any craziness does give me some hope that our talk later will be productive. I will update you all tomorrow if I can. I appreciate everyone's time and input. Edit, please. No red pill theories in here. I don't like how adversarial that makes things, and it's not how I view the world. My brother, my father, my cousins, and many other people in my life are absolutely wonderful men. I don't like the disparagement, so let's please keep things civil. This is not an indictment on an entire gender. Let's stop it, please. Comments Darth Cetus, no way. There is literally no benefit to you dating a single dad as a girl with options, let alone one who is not interested when you are less successful. To be clear, the parenthood thing makes me feel anxious and uncomfortable, but in my mind, that's less of a concern than the fact that I'm just not attracted to him. I don't know that it's fair to say my successes are a factor. People always expected a lot out of me and Nate is successful in his own right. I know that much. He's not a bad person. I'm just not interested. J. Smith, 2,102,007. You saying that you are not interested is enough. It's pretty pathetic that he is now harassing you and having other people harass you just because you don't want to date him. That would make me be more turned off towards him. Does he think arguing with you about why you won't date him and getting other people to message you over it would make you, what? Want him more or guilt you into dating him? I don't know what he's thinking really. I felt really awkward, so I've been making myself scarce. I do feel kind of guilty. I'm not used to rejecting people. Magdaz, given that he laughed at you last time, why should you give him a chance now? He did say that he laughed because he didn't expect me to ask him out last time. I kind of believe that because I laugh when I'm nervous or surprised too. I just feel guilty. I don't like making people feel bad, and his friends are talking him up quite a bit. He does have a lot of really nice qualities about him, but my gut is just telling me not to go for it. I'm uncomfortable any way I look. June Yellow 65576, you're not wrong. He lied to you when he rejected you. That's the only thing that matters. Up, thank you. The Lying Desert. If he had said he's not interested, that would have been fine. Then again, I do understand that sometimes men lie because they don't feel safe. I don't know that I necessarily blame him for it, but it also doesn't exactly make me feel good. Update 2. Hi, everyone. Thank you to everyone who commented on my first post. This will be my last. Some of you got very angry very quickly, and I wanted to clear a couple of things up before telling you all how it went last night. I try not to attribute behavior to malice if there's a possibility it can be attributed to incompetence. I think the world would be a better place if we tried to do that a bit more and be a bit less antagonistic. I know I would appreciate the benefit of the doubt if and when I do something wrong, so I tried to do the same with Nate and his friends. Honestly, I'm glad I did. Nate has been in the periphery of my life for a long time. We weren't ever really close, but being from the same town, you get the general idea of who a person is over time. I was shocked at his behavior because I thought it was unlike him. His friends reaching out to me surprised me and had me feeling anxious because I'm honestly not used to that much social attention all at once. The tone and content of the attention notwithstanding. These are not inherently bad people. I believe they are just generally good people who are behaving poorly. Anyway, what you all really want to know, I met Nate for coffee, tea at a local coffee shop last night. He showed up late after I did and said it was because of some childcare stuff he had to take care of. It turned out that his son's mother is very much in their lives, but just as a Keo parent. The reason he is single is because Keo parents is really all they can be together. They did not work well as a couple at all, but from Nate's own admission, his son's mother is a very good mom, dedicated, caring, and supportive. I said to Nate that these last couple of weeks were very stressful for me because of his friends contacting me about him and that I'm sorry that he was offended or hurt by my saying no, but I'm not sorry for saying no. Nate stopped me and apologized himself. He said he didn't intend for any of that to happen. He just has some very loyal and passionate friends. He also said sorry for how he behaved at the party and gave me some very helpful context. Nate had just recently started dating again and has not been having much luck. He expected as much, but he didn't expect people to be so uncaring about it. The last woman he met was quite cruel about him being used goods and harshly rejected him specifically for being a single dad, so that was fresh in his mind. Nate said he saw me and was attracted to me, not just physically, but that I was less socially awkward and could hold somewhat of a decent conversation now, so he was attracted to my growth. He said, he remembered that I was smart and caring, but I was very socially awkward when I had first asked him out. Nate was adamant that he did not mean to laugh. He was genuinely just surprised because he never suspected that I even thought of him that way to begin with. I do believe him on this front. It turned out that he was trying to flirt with me at the party, and when I rejected him, the negative emotions he had from the last rejection just took over and he reacted poorly. He said he complained to his friends and they took it upon themselves to try to grease the wheels. To Nate's credit, the messages have stopped since yesterday after I first reached out to him and explained why I wanted to meet. In retrospect, I think I may have overreacted too. I believe this because looking at some of the messages from his friends more objectively, it looks like they were just advocating for us to be together rather than attacking me for saying no, if that makes sense. But all the attention felt like demands to me, and I may have panicked a bit. So that's basically it, everyone. I apologized. He apologized. And it's all a lot more mundane than I think some people may have expected. No. We're still not dating, and we're both okay with that. Though we did agree that if the opportunity presents itself down the line and the timing is right, one or both of us may try gently approaching the idea again. I don't know if I ever expect that to happen, but it's not entirely a bad thought, just not a thought I would entertain for at least a few years from now. I like my life the way it is for now. Comments, Late Champion 8678, you seem like a very nice woman, actual nice, the good kind. I'm sure your anxiety about the situation played a role, but under that seems a caring woman. With that said, stay away from Nate and his friends. He may not have intended the bum rush, but the fact his friends thought it appropriate at all is concerning. Listen to Tammy and Sarah. They have their heads screwed on right. O.P. Thank you. Yeah. I am grateful to have my friends. I've been a generally anxious person most of my life, so I can't say I'm too surprised at it having such an impact on me here and now. Fiblemish, having read both bits of your story, I am simply baffled by why you are in any contact with him or his unbalanced friends. Do you want to be in high school forever? You did nothing wrong. He was unable to deal with his life, so he sicked his childish posse on you via the net. When an adult has a problem, they deal with it themselves. No adult messages a third party about who they should be dating. None of this was anyone's business but yours, and certainly not that group of harpies. This is childish and sad. Stand up for yourself. Tell him to never bother you again and move on with your life. The refrigerator. It was someone she liked and had respect for at some point in her life, and she wanted to give him a chance to redeem himself as that person in her mind. Does he deserve it? I don't think that matters because she wanted to clear the air. Yeah. I don't think he or his friends are reasonable, but sometimes being human is to be unreasonable. It doesn't sound like she's going to date him or anything. Oh, thank you. I did want to settle the matter. If something feels unresolved, it makes me very uncomfortable. I'm very glad that Nate was more agreeable this time around, and I appreciated learning the context of his life. I feel very badly for him that the last woman or two treated him so meanly. I can't fathom being that callous to another person. It doesn't make sense to me. Peter 95,837, I'm surprised things didn't turn out as messy as I thought it would. I'm reading too much boo post laugh out loud all in all. I'm happy for Appa, she seems like a nice woman, but for the best, going distance from Nate and his friends is the best solution. Now, on to the next story, story 2. I uncovered my husband's secret affair in Paris by tracking our airline miles, cancelled his return flight, divorced him, and even managed to get his French lover's band to break up. My 33 female husband, 30 male, and I have been together for 6 years. When I met him, I knew right away that I wanted to be with him forever. He was everything I ever thought I wanted in a man and more. It actually took a little bit of convincing to get him to go out with me to begin with. He was new at the office we worked in and he didn't want to get in trouble by dating another employee, but I could tell that he liked me by how he looked at me. We eventually had our first date and it was incredible. It sparked the beginning of a whirlwind romance, and we got married about a year and a half after meeting. One of my favorite things about him was his desire to always be learning. Whether it was a new skill or a language, he was always trying to expand his horizons. He was a very worldly person. He loved to travel and he loved learning things about different cultures. I wasn't any of that, but I aspired to be, so I admired him for it. We did some traveling together when we first got married. We visited Singapore and Thailand together, which was incredible. When the pandemic happened, obviously, we weren't able to travel at all. Not being able to travel and explore the world really took a toll on my husband. It truly was his greatest passion, and having him confined within a house for months was a nightmare for him. One of the things that he did to escape from that was to join this online club that would meet once or twice a month. People would just chat over a Zoom call about places they visited and their cultures. One of his favorite aspects of it was a recipe sharing section where everybody shared different foods from their respective cultures. He loved his group. He actually became pretty good friends with a lot of the members. They would chat with each other away from the group meetings and play games online or watch movies together through Discord. I was happy that he was able to find a way to survive those early days of the pandemic. When everything was clear, vaccines were coming out, and it was finally safe to travel, he jumped at the first opportunity he had. Unfortunately, I was back working in the office, so my schedule wasn't permitting anything like that. He was actually laid off at the beginning of the pandemic and I was supporting us both, so if he wanted to travel, he would have been able to. We had a long conversation about it because he felt bad going without me. But, he told me how trapped he felt after everything that happened. I wasn't happy with him going without me. I felt left out. But I knew that he needed that freedom, so I agreed to let him go. He left for a week and came back happier than I'd seen him in a long time. He had gone to Germany to visit one of the friends he made in his online group. He showed me a ton of pictures of them together, the things he'd seen, and the food he had eaten. I thought it was enough to satiate his desire to travel until we could do it together, but I was wrong. It only seemed to open a window for him to want to do more. I still couldn't take off and ignore my responsibilities to go with him. I explained how his traveling alone made me feel, and he agreed that he would wait until I could take some time off before he went anywhere else. A couple of months after we had that conversation, he told me that one of his friends from the online group he was in had been begging him to come for her wedding. At first, I thought that I would have had enough time to request time off work and go with him. When he told me the dates, I was disappointed because I knew I wasn't able to go. I had a big work conference that was mandatory that I attended. I reminded him of that, and he told me he had forgotten all about it. I didn't realize this at the time, but he was lying about that. Then, I didn't have any reason to suspect that something was going on. So he seemed genuine when he told me that he forgot and wouldn't go if I couldn't go with him. He knew that I would tell him to just go without me. The weeks leading up to his departure were a little strange. I could tell that there was something wrong with him, but I didn't know what at the time. He was acting very nervous around me. He couldn't meet my eyes a lot of the time, and it always seemed like there was something on the tip of his tongue that he wanted to say. We both left on the same day for our flights. I was so busy that I didn't even think to check in on him when his flight should have landed. When I got back to my hotel room at the end of the day, I checked my messages to see if he sent me anything, but he didn't. Before I started to worry, I logged into the airline's website to check his arrival time. Because I traveled for work a lot and he liked to travel in general, We had a joint account so we could accrue miles. I saw that there was a new flight logged in our history. He landed where he told me he was originally going to, but there was a departure to Paris, France, an hour after the other flight arrived. He never mentioned anything about going to Paris while he was there. I screenshotted the information and I texted it to him to make sure that it was him that bought it. It wasn't impossible that somebody could have hacked our account and bought their own plane ticket. He didn't respond to me right away, but I got a message about 15 minutes after the Paris flight was scheduled to arrive that pretty much confirmed to me that he was in Paris. I just didn't understand what he would be doing there. He called me from the airport and told me that he had a little extra time and he wanted to visit the city before the wedding. I was honestly a little too tired to argue with him, so I accepted it and figured we would talk about that later on. It was a little bit frustrating for me because airline tickets aren't cheap, especially not when somebody is buying business class and first class tickets everywhere they go. As I said, he lost his job at the beginning of the pandemic. I had an incredible job, and supporting both of us wasn't an issue at all, but when he was making purchases like that, it would be nice to be aware of them. I went to sleep and didn't even think about it until I woke up in the morning. When I looked at my phone, I saw that I had a text message from an unknown number. It wasn't immediately alarming because I have a lot of spam text messages that come through on a daily basis. When I opened it to see what it was, I saw a picture of my husband standing in front of a mirror naked with a woman standing behind him taking a picture. There was no context given to the photo at all. Immediately, I replied and asked who the person was, and they read the message, but they just didn't reply. The conference I was attending was hugely important for my work, so I tried as best as I could to push what I saw to the back of my mind just to get through the day. I didn't look at my phone because I couldn't stomach the idea of my husband texting me that he loved me after what I saw. When I was finally finished with the day, I noticed that the number that texted me tried to call me twice. I got back to my hotel room and I called back. Surprisingly, a woman answered the phone. I asked her who she was and why she sent me the picture that she did. She told me that she just wanted me to know that I was barking up the wrong tree by talking to my husband. I was very confused about what she was saying. I was married to the man. If anybody was barking up the wrong tree, it was her. While we were on the phone, I noticed that she had a thick French accent. It was clear that he booked the ticket to France to be with that woman in the picture. Out of curiosity, I checked the airline website again to see if he had booked another ticket back to the city he was originally supposed to be in, but he didn't. The only ticket that was remaining was his return flight home. Without thinking much about what I was doing, I removed my payment information from the website and I canceled his flight. I didn't know exactly what was going on there, but I knew he cheated on me. The details about what he told that woman weren't really any of my concern. He lied to me about why he needed to go abroad so he could sneak off with the other woman. I doubted there was even a wedding he was supposed to attend. I finished up the conference and went home right away. If he was going to cheat on me, I was going to take everything from him. He could be stranded in Paris for the rest of his life and I wouldn't care. When the time came for him to come home, he called and texted me and asked me about why I canceled his flight. He had no idea his little girlfriend told me about what was happening. I ended up answering the phone and explaining to him that I knew everything and he wasn't going to be returning to the States on my dime. He would have to figure out his own way home. He tried to explain the picture by saying that I misunderstood because it was an old photo of an ex. I knew for a fact it wasn't. He was lying to me yet again. I told him that he had one chance to tell me the truth, and that was it. He caved in and told me what was really happening. Of course, the woman he met in Paris was one of the people from his online group. They had both gotten to talking and she seduced him. She was in a band and she was artsy, things that he would normally go for in a woman before he met me. I didn't say anything about it, and I told him that when he got home, he could expect to find divorce papers waiting for him. Then I hung up. I didn't buy his plane ticket back. He actually ended up having to call several people to try and get them to buy him a ticket because he didn't have any of his own money. I had completely cut him off after I found out he cheated. His sister ended up buying him the ticket, then called me to read me out over the phone about stranding him. I did some digging online to try to find out who the woman was that my husband was sleeping with. He mentioned that she had a band, but when I found her I was surprised by how many followers she had. She was a growing artist and had recently released a song that was doing pretty well. I knew it was wrong when I did it, but I couldn't help myself. I blurred out my husband's face so he couldn't sue me for revenge, then I posted the picture of the woman online with the throwaway account tagging her in it. It got a lot of views, and the story that I posted along with it about how she slept with a married man and ruined someone's life got a lot of sympathy from people. I divorced my husband and he ended up moving out with his sister while he looked for a job that could sustain him. He ended up working in person again, which I knew would disrupt his traveling desires. I thought that was funny. A couple of months after I posted the picture online, I checked on the status of the band out of curiosity. They had gotten quite a mixed reception over the image. One of the band members spoke out on their Instagram page about how after everything happened, it was decided that it would be best for the band to part ways and pursue different paths. So it felt kind of good knowing that their band might have broken up because of me.